Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of B2B Live, where I speak with entrepreneurs, where I speak with game changers, rebelpreneurs who are transforming their industry, who are impacting and positively influencing their industry. Today, I have a special guest with me. Her name is Maiko Sakai, and she has a wealth of wisdom to share with you. If you are new to the channel, welcome. And if you happen to like this episode, I want you guys to hit that click, that like, that subscribe button, so that you can share it with a friend, so others can also receive the value that we are being that Miyako is sharing in this live. Hello, Miyako. How are you today?
Good. How are you doing?
I
I'm excited to be here.
I am so excited for you to be here. And I think it's not, I think, I know it is going to be a game changer. If anyone who is listening, if you have a comment, if you have a question for Miyako, please put it in. We will get to it and she will answer it live and direct for you. So, Miyako, please share with the audience who you are, who you serve, and how are you positively influencing the industry?
Oh, thank you. So, actually, my name is Maiko
Oh,
Sakai.
geez,
No
sorry.
worries, no worries. We're just doing this on the fly, like a real live. I really love it. So, I'm so glad to be here. And I'm a business consultant, and also I call myself a quiz queen. Occasionally, I can talk more about that later. But predominantly, I serve small service providers, service business owners. I don't really work with a lot of goods players, like brick and mortar or retail or e-commerce type of people. But my passion is where the services are. Number one, it's because they're selling intangible things.
Mhm.
So when it comes to marketing and promotion, they really need to fine tune everything, including messaging to appearance to everything else. So there's this added layer in terms of a set of challenges that they face, and I love challenges, so I'm here to serve them. And a lot of times, I talk often about the scaling versus growth, to niching down, to messing it up before simplifying. It's all about counterintuitive strategies. So I cannot wait to really dive in. And by the way, I'm going live from the temporary kitchen area today, but hope people don't mind that.
Well, that's okay because what you're doing, you're saying it's the counterintuitive strategy, right? It's a unique approach. You're not going
Yeah.
the cookie cutter way or the normal path, which is important. So you actually doing this on your in your kitchen makes a lot of sense, right? We
Yeah.
got to cook up things a different way, mix different ingredients for
Oh, I
sure.
love that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
One of the things that we're talking about unlocking the hidden formula for explosive growth
Hmm.
and how to master disruptive success. A lot of people see this, they're like, wow, I'm a disruptor. I can do this. Perhaps they've read Blue Ocean strategy and they
Hmm.
want to get into all of those things. Before we get into it, is that a similar approach, that Blue Ocean kind of mentality to be a bit disruptive in there? Is that kind of
Yeah.
how you're going?
I love that. Well, first off, I love that book, and I recently mentioned the Blue Ocean, and I think I forgot where I was, but one of somebody who was in the audience said, "Wow, I haven't heard that one for a long, long time." Like, yeah, of course, but it's oldie but goodie, right?
Yes.
Disruption definitely comes from, and I'm not talking about something that's like a pie in the sky Silicon Valley type of thing. It doesn't have to be in your business, so don't get too overwhelmed when we talk about the topic of disruption. There could be something that's very subtle, but say your business approach this problem solving
Mhm.
in a completely different way, that is a disruption in a sense, and tapping into that blue ocean where there are no sharks around to eat you alive in that sense. So, you know, sure, if you have a huge disruptive idea, that's fantastic, but don't feel bad that you don't have like, again, pie in the sky, a crazy disruption idea. There's so many things that you can actually do in your business that only require subtle disruption.
Absolutely. And I agree. And it is those subtle disruptive movements, those strategic movements that have the biggest impact.
Sure.
I think a lot of people are thinking the bigger, the better.
Yeah.
It's compounded, and is these subtle tweaks and changes that really help us thrive. Yeah. So I thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
We're going to go right into it. We're talking about unconventional strategies. So, how do we break from the traditional methods to lead us to these game changing results for
Yeah.
explosive growth?
Yeah, absolutely. There are many, ways to go about this, but I just wanted to share a few different sort of tangible
Yeah.
examples so that, you guys can take a note if you would like. I've written a blog recently. It's entitled, Are You Being a Needy Lover to Your Business?
Ooh.
Now, I know it, it- it's a scroll stopper because a lot of people would say, like, oh, what in the world is she talking about? Well, here is what I'm talking about. A lot of times, we as business owners, we have our goals and we have our aspirations. That's all well and good. But, sometimes we get too demanding or too needy, or we need more clients, we need more customer, we need this, we need to hire more people, and you're demanding a lot from your own business and depriving a lot of resources from it. But and I use this example of the 3 C's to avoid in this particular situation. One is chasing down. The second one is cashing out, and the third one is catching up. So the chasing down is all about what I just said, like being really demanding that, we need more of this, or we need to do this, we need to do that, and just driving ourselves crazy. That really doesn't do any good for your business. Now, cashing out, sure, after all that hard work, you might have explored extra customers or extra clients, or, there might be some bigger projects that came in. Fantastic. That's great. But you've been depriving your business for so long that you just can't wait to spend it. So start to throw money at the problems, which, happen all the time with even 7-figure, 8-figure business owners. Once they get over the hump of this whole cash flow rat race,
Yeah.
they wanted to throw money at the problems where they don't really need to do so. And, as a result, they feel like they've wasted a ton of money by doing that. So that's cashing out too early, right? And the third thing about catching up, you always feel like you need to catch up. You need to catch up. You're behind. You're behind. If you don't really shift your mindset that, away from it, you're going to always feel like you are behind. So, catching up mentality, that's the third of the 3 C's to avoid. Now, there are 3 A's that you can shift yourself or your businesses into, which would be, number one, appreciate everything. Appreciate where you're at and appreciate your journey, not just thinking about the, end game all the time, 24/7. Appreciate where you're at. So that's the first A. The second A is to allow everything to work out without you doing everything. We tend to hustle. And sometimes hustling is necessary. When it's a go time, it's a go time. So I'm not 100% anti-hustle. Like, I'm not here to say that. When there's a go time, it's a go time. You go, right? You go, right? But you don't really want to be involved with everything and anything. You don't have to feel that way. Take a step back and see how things can work without you with ease. So that's allowing, and so I covered what the
This
appreciate,
first two,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Appreciate and allow everything,
and acceptance.
and then accept it.
Acceptance. Yep, the acceptance of whatever you're facing. don't view everything as hardships. Like this is hard, that is hard. Oh, it's going to take a long time. Pause when you feel that way to see whether or not there are better way to go about this instead of like trying to fight it. Like really accept where you're at. So those are the three C's to counteract. And I wanted to share this concept very quickly with you guys because a lot of business owners are not realizing that until they are far into it, where like they get burned out or depression. I mean, those problems are real, right? So this was my way of sort of counteracting what can happen or what's on the horizon. So that's one of the counterintuitive thing. Now, another example of like a real life example of a counterintuitive strategies is that do things that are not needed at that moment. So for example, like a line of credit. Yeah. I've been there, so I just wanted to, talk about this. When you don't need it is the time to get it, right? When you need it, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get it because you're not in a good position. If you don't need it right now, it's a great time to do it because, maybe your balance sheet, your P&L, are looking pretty healthy because you don't need it. Get one just so that when you really need it, you don't need to spin your wheels and then get all, scrambling and all of that stuff. So that's like just one of the examples that I use as a counterintuitive strategy, meaning that you always wanted to think, when they zig, we zag kind of
yes
mentality. Yeah.
And I love this, and the comments are coming in here, and we're going to go into it. But Natalie mentioned here, she said, Blue Ocean Strategies, a powerful tool. Disruption shows up differently for different people. And that's, 100%. Thank you, Natalie.
Hey, Natalie.
Yes,
how are
for sharing that.
Yeah,
From LinkedIn. And then on YouTube, we have Sarah. She's excited for the live. She can't wait to learn more about this disruption. So Sarah, please stay tuned because
thank you, Sarah.
This is just the tip of the iceberg. The first 10 minutes, we got the 3 C's and the 3 A's of disruption.
We're going to go really fast and we'll jump pack it.
Yeah, we're going to jump pack it. But yes. And Natalie, again, thanks, Natalie, for sharing. She's hyping up the blog. And I believe it's out now, correct? Correct?
Yeah.
Yes. I would suggest you guys read it. I saw when the post came out, saw like a little tidbit, and I was like, there is no link. Where is the link? Remember? I
said, right. It's out now.
It's out now. So I'm really excited to read it because, like, am I being a needy lover? So everyone, please check out the blog. It will be in the comments, and or we'll have it showing. And then we have on X another comment here. Totally agree with some of these things.
Natalie, I love that. Thank you, Marie.
Yes. And then, of course, Natalie again, she's talking about shift yourself to the 3 A's: appreciate, allow everything, and accept. So thank you all for sharing. If you guys have a question, please put it in the comments. If you have a comment, please share it regardless of which platforms you're on. You talked about the 3 C's.
Yeah.
For explosive growth. You talked about chasing down, cashing out, catching up. You explained it exactly what these are, in a short form. How can entrepreneurs who have hit, let's say they're at the 6, they're about to hit the 7-figure. How can they apply this to their business intentionally in 2025?
That's a great question. Well, first and foremost, I do have to talk about scale versus growth to sort of answer that question, because let's just say, some business owners at 7-figure mark, most of them, I believe, have done this. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to get there. But they've figured out a formula, what works and what doesn't by, viewing the data or, having a very strong team to discuss all of that each year or each quarter. Now, it doesn't really matter whether you're a 7-figure business owner or 6-figure business owner or anywhere in between or anywhere above. the first thing to do is not so much about just diving right in to talk about scaling and expansion and all of those things. It's more so, again, it's a counterintuitive thing, right?
Yeah.
Slow down to speed up. And what does that mean? A lot of business gurus talk about this, and they're not wrong, because I am an advocate for this, by the way, is that before you're ready to expand and scale and get all wild up about it, you do have to take a step back to see what you're going to leave behind, because you're going to have to make a room, right? You're going to have to make a room for new things to come. And most of the businesses, well, some businesses definitely get to a 7-figure mark organically by doing what they know. But for them to actually get to the next level, I actually don't like this notion of a next level because it's so vague. But let's just say 7-figure to 8-figure, right? Like a 6-figure to 7-figure, next level, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to really look at what they need to do differently, because what got you here won't get you there.
Yes.
Right? So hence, slowing down to speed up is the first thing to do. Now, we can talk about the nitty-gritty of what that slowing down looks like, of course. And I don't want to talk about theoretical things, but I do want to share concepts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're going to slow down to speed up. And I appreciate that. I'm sure
Is this recording, by the way? I see a recording error. Since it's live, I'm just going to talk aloud and see like if what's working.
Yes, no, it's live. This is live. Yeah.
No, I know, but is it recording? Because I do see an error at the bottom of the screen saying a recording error. Are you okay with that?
Yes, no, it's fine. Don't worry.
Okay.
We're good. We're seeing you very well. Don't worry.
Okay.
Maybe sometimes it's the internet. Sometimes it's the internet that's happening, but we're getting you loud and clear here. You talked about slowing down to speed up. And with the 3 C's, I understand why that is important, because it's so easy that we can be chasing the carrot, so to speak, in business, thinking, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this. And then
or cashing out, throwing money at the problem, right?
Throwing money at the problem. And it's a lot of us, a lot of people throw money at the problem. Number 2, because they think, I need someone to help me with funnels. I need someone to help me with emails. I need someone to help me with new client retention, new leads, and all of these things. So we're throwing money, and then most of the times, not everyone is skilled enough or qualified enough, because you're using a cookie cutter approach to apply to everyone's business, instead of coming up with a plan that actually works for that specific business or that specific person. And so, so the cashing out part, I can completely see, I see it so much now.
I mean, there's the opposite case too, by the way. Not everybody is prone to cashing out too quickly. Yeah. When I talk about cashing out, those are the ones who tend to, overcoming the hump of this cash flow race. Yeah. They have sum of money, like they have a pool of money that just kind of freshly came in that triggers their need to spend money to solve problems, right? That exists. Now, there's the opposite spectrum that also exists as well. And I have a blog post about that, it's called a bootstrap trap. What it is that there are, there's some service providers, whether, IT consultants to, wellness consultant to the coaches, business coaches, whatnot, they have their own pricing point, right? Let's just say like there's the 5,000 offer that they come up with, it's $5,000 mastermind, whatever that is, right? But they never purchased the $5,000 worth of services for their businesses, because they are bootstrapping and being thrift about it. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong. Yes, you have to be mindful of it, but if you haven't spent $5,000 on a service before yourself as a business owner, you came up with an offer that's priced at $5,000. How do you know the customers who are, interested in taking up on the offer, psychologically what they go through. You don't know that because you haven't done it before. That is a bootstrap trap in a sense. Like you're not really understanding fully how you're pricing things or the customer's journey psychologically. I'm not just talking about the action that they're taking. I'm talking about their psychological states, from one place to another. How do they move through those psychological, the journey in that sense. So there's the other spectrum of it. So it's cashing out people versus being too thrifty. So those two things exist. And neither of them are, like, it's not about which one's better. Both of them can hinder your business growth.
Mm-hmm. Yes, 100%. Natalie shared the blog in the comments on LinkedIn. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And I wanted to, before we move on, I wanted to address what Marie from X put up there. She said, sometimes after applying every good strategy you possibly know and still don't see how much change. So she says, she relaxed and she allowed things to work out itself.
I love that. She is actually, practicing that 3 A's, right?
Yes.
Accepting it and appreciating it and allowing how things to evolve in a sense without you getting too much involved.
Too much into it. Question for you, though. There are some people who are tuning in and they said, well, how long should I wait? I've applied the good strategy. Should I wait 30 days? Should I wait 90 days? How do I know if this is going to work?
Right. So in my own business, there's a little story about that. Back in 2018, I learned a lot about, the marketers talking about, create a quiz in your business as a lead magnet. It was all the rage back then. Now they're all talking about AI, and we're going to touch that if we have, enough time later. Yeah. But at first, my immediate reaction was, I don't need another shiny object. I'm not going to hop on this bandwagon. I ignored it, right? 2 years passed. It resurfaced because I've taken one personality quiz that is called How to Fascinate by Sally Hogshead. Now, hers is not a quiz. It's a full-on assessment. It possibly have like more than 40 different archetypes. I mean, it's a serious one, backed by research and everything. I was so impressed by this. Then I thought, you know what? I don't have to go that extensively to create a quiz that's like an assessment. I can take the middle road, something easy to digest and value packed. So what I ended up doing was to create a quiz, but I didn't know how that was going to evolve. And, what I did more actively was to do a I've done a beta testing for each quiz. I have 2 quizzes now. And also I've spoken to a lot of people who is taking those quizzes to get feedback and learn about it. Like, it's not just about waiting. You wanted to take some aligned actions. For example, taking a look at some of the data that you can collect. If not, just pick up the phone and talk to those people. Don't be afraid of doing that, because otherwise you're not going to really get the truth. Now, even having those calls with some of the customers or past clients or prospects, right, would be clients, you have to be skilled enough to really tease out the truth out of them, right? There are so many layers, like in an onion. You're going to have to peel back one layer at a time to figure out. Now, if you do all those things while you're sort of waiting to see what happens, then you will start to see the next stepping stones. So that's how I would go about that. And when it comes to the question of how long, I mean, look, I know that we once were all employees of somebody else's organizations, right? We worked for somebody. That's where we earned this employee mentality, this air quoting, but the employee mentality, which is for us to want to have a manual for everything. And I have news for you. There's none. There's no manual. There's no set it and forget it formula. So I cannot give you, if you need to wait for 90 days or half a year or 18 days for that matter, that's something that you have to figure it out on your own. So do not try to always look for a manual, a guideline, a set of instructions or whatnot. You do you. Now, it can be scary because, again, I'm not suggesting anything like a formulaic in that sense. But if you take those actions that I just shared, you will start to see what's working and what's not working. You just cannot hide behind a computer and crossing your finger and hoping that to work.
Yes. Okay. Well, and then that leads into our second area. We're talking about market psychology. And what you just said about when I asked that question about the time frame, that actually leads to the results, right? And the reception that we're receiving from prospects, from our audience. What are your thoughts on the market psychology? And I know this is a vague way that I phrased it, but let me kind of step back for a second. This is based on what you were talking about with the quiz and how you found this middle of the road quiz.
Right.
When someone comes to you and this is, this outline, what I'm seeing now is a lot of people, they're trying to weed out if someone's actually a client or not in their calendar link with these questions.
Right. Yeah, I love that question. Yes.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, what does this market psychology looks like? I know it's really, really vague, but then of course, based on what I was just sharing between the quiz that you have and this way to tap into your audience and stuff to understand them versus what's happening right now, which is just weeding out if these people are actually serious to purchase my product.
Yeah. First and foremost, let's get into the whole weed out activities side of things, and let's shed some light on their psychology behind it, right?
Yes.
I've spoken to a fair amount of business owners, like a handful, let's just say, who expressed their concerns about getting on the call with unfit prospects. And their facial expression is almost fearful. They don't want, they wanted to be able to weed them out beforehand. And the funny thing is that I take completely opposite approach to this. Whoever gets into my calendar, with an exception of one liner that says no sales calls, please, because that's a clear time waster for me. My calendar is not for that, obviously. But other than that, I take on anybody and everybody, and I'm not fearful of it. So I've asked a couple of questions why they feel so fearful and feeling the need to weed those people out. That actually is a reflection of their psychological landscape. Some people, some of them are not confident enough to handle those things, or some of them get triggered by spending time with those, so-called unfit prospects. You wanted to take a moment and really unpack that first and foremost to see why are you so fearful about this? Who cares? Like, there were some calls that I cut very short because I knew that the conversation wasn't really going to go well, but I did it with compassion and from a place of empowered mindset. So I was very polite but still firm about the fact that we needed to end the call. That's all that takes. I didn't even find that to be a waste of time because I got to practice that, right? So a lot of times, like I'm fascinated by how, like some business owners say, well, what if I do this marketing campaign and I get too many clients and I'm going to be overwhelmed and stressed out? My response is, why are you worried about things that haven't even happened yet? Right? You can figure that out when that happens. Like, why are you trying to get ahead of everything that hasn't happened and worried, to no end about what's gonna happen? My response always like, who cares? You're gonna have to do this marketing campaign and see what happens. What if no one shows up? Because that happened to me.
Yeah.
On the flip side, like too many people showed up or whatnot, I knew how to deal with it at that given moment, but I didn't worry about that beforehand. So that's the piece about the business owner side of the psychological things, right? But I get the fact that you wanted to be efficient with your time and energy. So you wanted to weed out, some of the unfit clients. I totally get that. I'm not arguing with anybody about this. But before we get into it, I just wanted to bring this topic up and throw it out there so that anybody who's listening can take a step back to really examine where they are at. Stop worrying about things that haven't happened. It's just that is in itself is a waste of time, right?
Yes.
All right. So now that's out of the way. Let's talk about the customer side of the psychological state. Now, what I didn't realize at that time when I was creating my quiz and getting the word out there that it is available, it's valuable. I'm not charging anything for it. I just it's my way of kind of the sharing my approach to running a business. So take it and what you let me know what you think of it. What I didn't realize was the fact that this was actually a tool to filter and weed out some of the unfit clients, but I included those archetypes that I don't particularly service to as part of the quiz. So I understand where they're coming from and how they behave and all that stuff. I can still help them to a certain extent, even though they may not be my target. Mm-hmm. So I get to collect all the data because I do use this quiz platform called tryinteract.com. It's called Interact. Mm-hmm. And the Interact, gathers all the data. They've been around more than 10 years or so, so they have loads of data to work with. They have so many templates as well based on what they've learned the past, over 10 years. So I get all the data and I can digest it. How many people came through my quiz? How many people bounced, in the middle of it? How many people completed? And who's what archetype and how much percentage? Where do they come from? All the data is there. I didn't realize how powerful it is just to know that whether or not I am attracting the right market or that the market that I am going after. Another piece afterwards is that how do I get to service them? How do I get to cater to their needs? I didn't realize what I was doing back then, or I didn't realize that this is what I get from creating a quiz. So it was an eye-opener.
Yes. And I think the quiz would provide a whole lot more data versus sometimes a lot of people, one of their lead magnets that they would give is is like an ebook.
Yeah.
A lot of people are giving
checklist or template or printables. Yes. Those things are great too, by the way, like scheduler or planner, that kind of thing. But unless you're going to put them through some kind of a platform like a SaaS or some kind of data analytics, it's hard to collect all those things. And the quiz does it by itself 24/7. I'm not even touching that setup, to be honest with you. I've set them up, like over 2, 3, one of them is probably 4 years at this point. It just keeps running. It just keeps running and I don't touch it.
And it's a really great way to assess your audience with each new year. To refine not only yourself and your capabilities, but also for you to be the best you can for those you serve. So it's most beneficial. Thank you so much for actually sharing the difference between the quizzes and just asking questions to weed people out. And I'm using that word
when I say great journey either, right?
A tough word. Yeah, but it's one of those things that sometimes when I see people are asking like, how much are you making? Are you the decision maker? Are you this? Are you that? They ask these questions all the time, and I'm just like, I go, I don't even know you yet.
CX.
Yeah.
Such a shitty CX, customer experience, right?
Yeah.
Like, why are you like, I'm not under interrogation for anything, just having a conversation. Now, I'm not going to stop anybody from having like a 2 or 3 general questions. I have that in my Calendly set up. Like, do you have a business, right? I was getting some people like who were thinking about it, which like I still don't mind having a conversation with them about, but I know what I need to prepare for that particular call, knowing that. But talking about the annual rev to how many
Yeah.
employees and, like all those things, like, yeah, you are clearly coming up with those questions for your benefit,
Yes.
not to our benefit.
No.
And that's just not a great starting point, period.
Hmm.
So that's marketing psychology going wrong, right? They are prioritizing their own needs. Now there are there are many ways to do that tastefully. Then that's fine, because there are many ways to do it tastefully, but that is an example of doing it distastefully, and
Yes.
it leaves a bad taste in our mouth.
Well, what I do is like when I see that, like, oh, let's have a get to know you call, and they send their calendar link sometimes, and I see all these questions, I'm like, yeah, no. And I'd be like, and I would send back in a message sometimes, you know what? I'm not here to buy anything
Right.
from you. Like, it's just,
I
and
can
then there's,
share. I can
yeah,
share another example real quick, because I just wanted to make sure people who are doing this to just take a step back to re-examine. Okay, so I was, my goal this year was to get on, as many podcast shows as possible. I've achieved that somehow. Like I could have done a lot better. That's a long story and another story for another day. But a lot of intake forms had this question about, will you be like buying some of our products? I'm like, so like it's okay if it's a pay to play, but make it up front so that I know what to expect. But now I'm already like halfway through the intake form and being questioned whether or not like I'm open to sign up for your mastermind, or like, what is this? You
yeah,
know?
yeah. Yes, yes, and it can be a bit like, well, no, and this is how I see so many losing so many people losing prospects, or just people that come into their audience, and there are all these touch points. It take what, 9 to 11 touch points before someone
Mm-hmm.
can potentially become a client. And it doesn't matter if we're consuming on the various channels,
Mm-hmm.
or if they liked something, or perhaps they put a comment on something. We don't know what touch point they're at. We don't know where they are.
Right.
And so perhaps they just want to get to know you, because everyone is different. Some people are like, I need this, I'm going to get it. Other people are more, I need this, I'm not sure, I have to get to know you a bit better. And then there are some people who just need the hand holding sometimes, right? We're all at
Absolutely.
different stages. Yeah, of, oh wow, I actually got to know this person and I trust them, and
Mhm.
they can do this job. So anyways, thank you so much. Natalie shares the quizzes for is a must
Oh,
for
thank
all
you so much.
entrepreneurs. Yeah, Natalie, you are just on fire today. Thank you so much. Emily from YouTube, thanks all YouTube for tuning in. Great opportunity to learn and grow. Yes, it absolutely is. Stay tuned. She's going to be talking about data-driven stuff next after I finish this. And Bruno on LinkedIn shares nice thing with quizzes is that it's interactive. So thank you
Yes.
guys so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Bruno.
If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. If you have a comment, share it. And for everyone that's tuning in, we're at 190 viewers right now. We've been consistently over like 150 since we started. So thank you all
Amazing.
so
Thank
very, very
you.
much. Yeah,
Yes.
I've had my phone to take pictures because I realize my guests don't see the
No, I
impact that
don't.
they're having. Yeah, like the impact that that they have when and the people that are tuning in to get their value and to follow them. So please follow along. You see the website that's there. She's also on LinkedIn, uh, Instagram. Are you on X? I guess
Yeah.
you're on X as well. Yeah,
X is
please.
actually my jam still. And the threads. Threads are
And
really great, by the way. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. So follow along, please. Like you just will not receive this type of value just, searching blindly. She's there, she has it, her post
Actually, I
makes
have a
sense.
gift. I didn't tell you about this. I have a
No?
gift, so maybe I will reveal that at the end. How about
Yes,
that?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Great. So everyone stay tuned for this gift. I'm excited for the gift. Um, let's talk as we're getting close to wrapping up in the next 15-20 minutes.
Sure.
Let's talk about data-driven decisions and innovative leadership. And I put those two together. I know in the caption I had it separate. I put those two together because now we're going to get into the AI piece. Now we're going to get into data-driven, and
Right.
you talked about the quiz part. So that's why I thought, what a great segue into data driven decisions. How do we make these decisions, as well as how can we be innovative in our leadership?
hmm That's a big piece, and I wanted to,
Yes.
uncover as much as I can. But here is the like a quick disclaimer. I really, I as a business owner, I have struggled with data for a long, long time. I am saying this to you just so that in case you feel intimidated by this topic, you don't have to, because I have been there and I am still working on it. And here is the example like that I wanted to share is this. It's not that I don't know how to read data, right? I can use the quiz as another, again, there's the same example. I'm just going to bring it back to say, how many people went through this quiz? Where did they come from? Was that from the paid ads that I might have done 2 years ago for a week, possibly? Or is it coming from X or LinkedIn or random Google search? By the way, my quiz, both of them have matured after, releasing them a few years ago. So now people finding those quizzes randomly on Google. Now that evolved from, most of them are coming from social media channels to now they randomly find them on Google. And I can see the journey that these quizzes are taking as well. So it's not that I don't know how to read data. There are two things that are involved with understanding data and how to use it. Number one, you have to fight with your biases. That's the toughest part. That's why I say I struggled with it, because we all have biases, right? The one major one is called the confirmation bias. You want something, you want to see something, therefore you see those things despite the fact that the data is telling you otherwise. That is, I know it's funny, but it's not, because we struggle with it. Why do you think people lose share in stock market? The data's all there. Everybody's looking at the same data, the same chart, the same candlesticks. I'm just using that as an example. It's not
Mhm.
about running a business, but using that as an example. The chart going up, chart going down, right? Everybody's seeing the same thing. Yes, some people lose their shirt on this. What's happening? Well, biases, right? Well, some complacency as well, right?
Yeah.
There are many different psychological states that are kind of mixed into this whole thing. So the important thing is, now more than ever, we have access to data very easily and inexpensively. But when you're digesting it, make sure that your mental state is in the neutral space, as neutral as possible. It's not about good or bad. It's not about right or wrong. It just is. And that takes a lot of practice to do this. And a lot of people talk about, how to use big data to, the data analysis. And none of them actually talk about our psychological state when we are reviewing this. It's super important. So I wanted to really emphasize this point to say, don't overlook where your state is at. If you're desperate, like to get more customers, to get more clients, more money, more this, and looking at the data, you know that you are easily getting into this confirmation bias, and you may not use the data that's right in front of you in any useful way. You just cannot be attached to what you are seeing. And once you're going to get better at this over time, not overnight, but more you do it, the better you become, right? Then you will understand that even though there may be something that you may not want to do in your business, if the data is clearly telling you that maybe you need to sunset this service offer, or you needed to, sort of tweak this service offer, maybe the messaging isn't tight enough that you need to experiment it, you will find those things, and you're going to have to, again, one of those 3 A's, right? Accept the fact that the doors are right in front of you, and be open-minded. Experiment, right? So that's the important part of it, and that leads to more of an innovation, because you're not, now that you're not attached to this, you're more open to experimenting a lot of different things. That drives innovation. And as a leader, you want to be an example of that for the rest of your team members or the employees that you have. Look, I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but this is what I'm seeing from the data, and I am going to experiment these things. And I want you all to help me move along with this. And if you guys have any different insights with what we're seeing, step up, raise your hand, let's just discuss this. There's no right or wrong. This is the environment where we get to really throw ideas around. If you're not in a neutral space, mindset wise, you won't be able to have that conversation, because you're worried about what the team is going to think, or you're not fully confident about the data that you're seeing. Just be honest.
I agree with you, especially when it comes to the data. So with the team that I work with, of course, they're always collecting data, and they're very good at it. But then I ask a lot of questions too.
Right. Yeah, great.
Because but I go in with the understanding I'm not in it every single day the way they are. Right. Everyone, there's specific people for specific platform. I couldn't say the word there. There's specific platforms who have certain expertise. So when I'm looking at some data, and then of course I'm doing my own upgrading and training and learning all at the same time. And then of course, I'm here leading this business, so I already have a vision. And one of the things that I've learned to do is, instead of sharing the big vision, is to do it a bit in part. And I found that sharing just enough, only because when there's, okay, this is where we're at, this is the goal, it makes it easy, because people tend to get very confused if they're seeing too much, because they don't have that vision for it yet, right?
Right.
And they don't necessarily see how intricate your system, your ecosystem, your business ecosystem is aligning. So what one person is doing over here definitely affects what another is doing over there, and affects, like, it creates a whole trigram. And the data helps so very, very much. And I know there was a period of time, and people look back at past videos and lives that I've done, where I was saying my team is probably upset with me, but and I'm okay with that. You know why? Because I will challenge them about why isn't, like, what's happening here? How come why is the audience this way or not? Like, and it's not a bad thing. It's just a question, right? I would question that. Or, oh, how come I thought our audience is in this specific continent or country. Why is this area more higher up? Why are they tuning in? Why is this specific gender or age group tuning in? And it's not a bad thing. It's good to know. You have to be able to understand.
But you wanted to know why. Yeah.
But you want to know why. And it's exactly what you're saying, because then now it's easy for me to recognize, hey, how can I best support and be of service to my audience? How can I best serve them? And that's ultimately what it comes down to, because then this affects the quality of the work that I'm going to do. But it takes a whole lot of work to do. And now
Absolutely.
now I think they understand a bit more, because they haven't been questioned a lot. But now they're used to me. So they're like, oh, okay, this makes sense. So they come to me now with more innovative, forward-thinking insights before I could even have to say, but why? Or if I say why, oh, I have an answer. Yes, because now they have to think.
What I'm hearing is that, I think that the point that you're making is so important, so paramount, that we think we know who our customers are, We may to a certain extent, but we need to allow some room for a good surprise.
Mhm.
We don't know everything. We don't know a whole lot. And that's not a bad thing. Data can help to discover and unpack all of that. I'll be honest, there are so many times in my business that I realized I'm so glad that I didn't know anything about it. That the fact that there was like a hidden needs or hidden demands or whatever that is, and again, the quizzes helped me figure that out in one way or another. And it just it was I was blown away by this, and I was delighted to find them. So don't just try to be in this place of like static, right? Like nothing is static. Like we are constantly evolving and constantly moving. So it's okay that we uncover new things here and there, but we wanted to tap into those things so that those activities will lead to explosive growth, as the title suggests.
Yes, of course, 100%. Well,
Yeah,
we're getting some, we have some comments from YouTube. Thanks, Nasif. You said, loving the fresh ideas and insights.
thank
Just
you.
great. Yeah. Natalie again, she's like, this is a gem. You have to consider your biases, which is wonderful. But Bruno has a question. He says, why not use AI to read your data? Jump it in, log it, and see what comes out. Like, what more do we need more than the AI?
You can certainly do that. Now, the again, you can throw the data in and ask for analysis. That's the first step. If you wanted to go deeper into it, ask it if it has any questions to deepen the data. And this is the tip that I learned from, I'm just going to give it like a shout out here, even though she's not a guest. Her name is Susan Diaz. She's based in Canada, and she is the host of this podcast show called AI Literacy for Entrepreneurs. And she's a dear friend of mine. Her hottest tip recently was that we're not asking it enough questions.
Mm.
Let it ask us questions. Like we are just putting all the commands into it, right? Digest this data or draft this or, fitting into this style. We're making commands, that we're tasking them to do something. Ask it if it has any questions for us to deeper understand the data that it is trying to analyze for us. So, Bruno,
Mm.
you can absolutely do that, and try to don't make it to be like a the set it and forget it kind of thing. How can you deepen your relationship with it, because it is becoming AI is not just a generative the purposes only now that a lot of people are getting into AI agents space where not enough of those AI tools are agents ready, by the way. But in the future, it will start to develop strategies and the systems and all of it on its own. It's not fully there yet, but the signs are showing that AI agents are coming. So yes, it's something that you wanted to pay attention to. Don't get sucked into it, but from a neutral space, observe and learn what it can do.
100%. Wow. I loved this conversation. I'm sure everyone that has tuned in, they've been tuning in since the beginning. They've stayed hooked on. Thank you,
Amazing.
everyone, for your comments across all the platforms. And as I mentioned, sometimes not every comment or question comes through, but please know that we will respond to them. And I just wanted to share that with you all. Before we go, I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, now that we've learned these great tips for 2025, we can even start into implementing them really right now. This is the best time to
Mhm.
implement it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, how does this help us become attractive or magnetic
Mm.
to a potential partner or collaborator, a bigger enterprise, smaller enterprise in 2025?
Well, it would be helpful to figure out, let's say, a few ideas. Let's just say three. Okay, I love number three for pretty much everything. But like three ideas where your business can be a catalyst to another business by doing either JV or affiliate or some kind of a partnership collaborations. And this is what I learned. I do a lot of business collaborations with many different business peers and the colleagues and all of that. What makes me prolific with it is that I come up with a set of ideas. I make it easier for them and pick and choose so they don't have to work hard to make any collaborations happen.
Mhm.
So, after like listening to this conversation, you may, found a couple of nuggets to take away with. And I want you to use them to see how you can pitch. I don't like the word pitch, but how you can approach to those potential. And then, by the way, don't shy away from big brands or big
Mhm.
players. The
Mhm.
sky's the limit. Do not hold yourself back with this. But think about the three ideas that you can really go with and make it very easier on the other end so that it's such a no-brainer for them to say yes. That's your job. That's your part of the job to make it a no-brainer, right? So
Mhm.
keep that in mind with three ideas and hit the ground running. And I bet you get more yes than no's by
Mhm.
doing that.
I agree. I agree 100%. And thank you so very much for
I
being
have a
with us.
gift.
Oh, yes, your gift. Please share with us. What's the gift?
Right. So, Delisa, I just wanted to leave it up to you because I know that it's a multi-channel stream, so I don't know how to
Yes.
do this.
Okay.
But in the spirit of this holiday season, I wanted to give away three viewers with an hour with me, absolutely no charge.
What? This
Whatever
is
business
unreal.
I know whatever business topic that you wanted to talk about. Remember, I said I don't shy away from like getting on the call with anyone. I don't
Yes.
weed out because I'm pretty grounded, right? Like I
Right.
have no fears about, oh my God, like what if I get somebody weird or oh my God, I get too many clients. Like I don't have any of those concerns. So I don't know how to go about it, but the three people who watched until the end, just contact me somehow. Like, how should we do this, Lewis? I have no idea. I just
Well,
came up with
Natalie
that.
gave a great suggestion. So thank you, Natalie. She said, make it easy for them to say yes. I think three people will say yes. How about this?
Yeah.
Um, there will be three.
Yep.
If you guys can share with us the three C's, the three A's, and there
Ah,
was a third three that she mentioned just recently. If you guys can accurately share that, doesn't matter which platform you're on, we'll pick the three people and she will contact you from the comments and reach out. I
I
think
love
that
that.
that is such a great one. And I will say that we will make a post about this. We
Yes,
will
please
have a
do.
post about this. And I know my team is looking on. So, guys, please know this free gift offer part, extract it out, put it as a reel or something, tag her, and we will get this going because I love this Christmas gift. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It was my pleasure to spend some time with you all. Delisa, thank you so much, of course, and all the viewers who showed up. Thank you so much. It's been amazing. That's why I love doing live. Like live is, it's just the best thing to do, like off the cuff, anything and everything. And I hope that I provided enough values to you guys.
You absolutely did. Bruno is like, he's taking a slot. He wants to know the three A's. Bruno, well, you got to either watch it from the beginning or go through the comments because I did put in the comments the three C's, the three A's in the beginning. And then there was the last three C's because she did mention just now that she loves the number three. So it was the last three C's that she said. And so there will be 9 points that she talked about. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in today. Thank you to my wonderful guests to get us started for not only 2025, but to end the year strong right
Oh, yeah.
now. Have an incredible incredible day, everyone. And I will see you for our final B2B Live next week until we take our Christmas break. Bye.